Hi, here is that guy passionate about your personal leadership, relationship, and family life. I just felt I should share a thought with you, which I really believe will be a tremendous blessing to you. Today, I thought of talking about ways not to raise a wife beater. It's obvious in the society where we live in today how that we have dysfunction at different level. In politics, you find issues. In the workplace, you find issues, and everywhere you turn to in the educational sector, there are issues. And for me, something stands out, and that's the fact that every problem or every challenge we face in our society or in our world at large can be traced to a particular root. I believe you agree this is the fundamental. This is true at every level. Every big problem we have can be traced down to a smaller level, right? There is a source. In Africa, we say there is no fire without flame, meaning for every big inferno out there, there is always a flame. And for me, many of those issues we face in our society or individual lives stems from our childhood. I'm big about parenting because I believe if the home front is being done right, the world is going to be a better place. Perhaps the suicide rate will reduce, crime rates will reduce, and every societal challenge we have today will be at the barest minimum. All right, so as a parent, there are ways that now I want you to think about something right now. Do you know any man who beats his wife currently as we speak? Do you know any family where the man is being feared or dreaded? I can tell you where that came from. That was passed down from parents. Okay, so that's why even as parent or as grown up, it is very important to understand the implications of our action. Now, so the question I get to ask is, when you find a man who beats his wife, the question I ask practically is, where did this person learn this behavior? Where the question I ask is, where was this behavior learned? Who modeled this particular act? And now the truth is, not every man who maltreats his wife or children currently actually grew up in a place where that happened. But there are signs that are now, or I don't want to say every man who beats his wife, perhaps grew up watching his parents do the same thing, no, or his father do the same thing, no. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. But the truth is, there are signs or behavioral pattern that actually triggers that kind of behavior. All right. So let's also see it this way. For every emotional outburst we have, or particularly what we're talking about, which is wife beating or abuse or a physical abuse. Now, for every physical abuser, see, the underlying factor you're going to find is that there was an emotional outburst somewhere. So perhaps the man couldn't contain his emotion, then he had to raise his hand or he had to verbally abuse. And this happens, to us at different levels, right? Now, there is a skill you as a parent can teach your child right now that will prevent your child from being a wife beater or from abusing his family, even as we speak right now. So the question is there a way parents can prevent their children from excessive emotional outbursts? Yes, there is. There is. the truth is we all get angry at different levels, but the reason, like I said, the reason we have issues in our society today is because some of these emotions which we are supposed to be subjected are not subjected, right? Or we are not subjected. Then we have men growing into uncontrollable infernos, right? We have women growing into such people who can't tolerate every slight disagreement in their relationship. Now, I posted something on Facebook some times ago, and I got different reactions. So I took my time to read through the comment sections, and one of it, the question actually was to address the divorce rate we have in our society today. The comment section was filled with people who were angry and who couldn't take the slightest misbehavior from their partner. All right. Now, from my observation in the comment section, I realized that people actually lack emotional strength. Many people do not have emotional strength. Now, this is not to say, or this is not to encourage you staying in an abusive relationship, right? But the truth is, there are some issues that are not supposed to escalate beyond the normal. For example, this is a practical one. So I tell my child, um, I'm going to get you some ice cream. Okay, when you do XYZ, right? And for a reason or so, I refuse to do that. All right, what likely reaction is she prone to exhibit? All right, so for some child, might cry all day. For some child, they might throw things around. Some might just get moody all day. Now, this various reaction tells what that child is capable of growing into. That's my belief, right? So if a child, for example, I was watching a video recently also where a particular child wanted to get was it ice cream? Then I guess the ice cream seller was testing the patience of that child, a girl. So gave it to the child, then withdrew her hand, pointed it out again, withdrew her hand. So the child was trying to get it, but could not get it. Now he did that. I think she did that for about for I think 5 times, right? So the child was obviously enraged and started mashing everywhere, scattering things around. Now, for me, that's an indicator of a child that is likely to grow into an adult that won't manage his or her emotion properly. So these are things we should look out for as parents, and there are ways we could, put our children to test. There are ways we can actually help them curtail their emotions. All right. Now, for example, the first thing I would like us to consider as parents is, can we consider not giving our child everything they want? Now, there's a difference. The difference between want and need, right? Sometimes our children crave certain things. All right. Is it possible as parents we withdraw some of those things they actually want, or things we promise them? Now, not to inflict punishment on them, but to teach them contentment at some levels. I'll give you a practical example. Some years ago, I worked as a classroom teacher, and this is very interesting. So I decided to, I was studying on emotional intelligence, right, for children. So I had to practically carry something out. So the children were right in front of me. They wanted to submit their class work, right? I give them something to do. So what we do then, okay, we get the kids line up in front of the teacher, then they submit, make comment, mark, and you give it to them. So but there was this particular boy who has this tendency to be emotionally outrageous. Yeah. So he was on the line. There were two people before him, of course. So when it got to his turn, I marked the first two. When it got to his turn, I practically ignored him and picked from somebody else who was standing, right behind him. And he was like, "What's happening here?" I of course, I acted as though I wasn't, listening or watching him. when I was done, I stretched my hand to pick again from the person standing right behind him. And at this point, it was obviously turning red. And I did that one more time. And the third time, man, the hell was let loose. Actually, he was obviously enraged. You could see him almost crying and all that. Now, I called him aside. I took his book, of course, marked his book, but asked him to sit right beside me. Okay, while others were, I was done with others, I had to address, this particular issue. Because for me, that was practically a sign of undelayed undelayed gratification. So the boy obviously had no stamina to delay gratification. And this issue of delaying gratification is a major one in our society today. All right, you see men, you see women, people who are not faithful to the vows, people who want to just have it done now or never. So people who have emotional burnings and need to satisfy their emotional burnings immediately. All right, so this is a major issue in our society today at every level. You see politicians, for example, who can't, because of emotional reason, think straight and allow policies that will affect people, that will affect communities, and and nation go down the drain because of an emotional satisfaction. So I believe as parents we can create a better future if we put our kids in check emotionally. There are exercises, of course, we can carry out on a daily basis. I'm going to drop my direct link here. Okay, I have a material that has addressed, that have several exercises. I think about 30 of them to 50 of them that you as a parent can carry out on your child from on a timely basis, all right, to help curtail your child's emotional excesses. I'm saying this because as parents, we need to be conscious of the future we start creating. We need to be conscious of the kids we raise, even right from our homes. Now, the fingers we point to people across the street or to politicians or to people who are not doing well in our society actually um, stems, actually can be curtailed even right from our home. The more we take cognizance of this in our home front, the lesser issue we have to face as a society and as a world at large. So, parent, I put this to you. Take up the responsibility of curtailing your child emotional excesses. Take up the responsibility. As a parent, you might not have all it takes. You might not have the privilege. Of course, while you do this, you indirectly learn, because this speaks to all. As you teach your child, I believe the best way to teach, the best way to learn sometimes can be to teach. So when you consciously teach your child this, you observe how much you're improving in curtailing your emotion, because that will affect the way you discipline your child also. And the circle keeps going on and on. So thank you so much for the time. I hope this was worth your time.